Okay, so this time I got the right mic going on. Last time I had different channels selected because I was recording fireworks outside my window over New Year's Eve, and I forgot to put back I switched to the other channel, which is this mic, so the sound wasn't too good last time. Anyway, how's the year going? Pretty good, I guess. Somebody interacted with me on Substack, which was nice. Every once in a while, somebody does that. I'm working out whether I'm just boring or if you really need to market yourself, if you want to get people to read your stuff and interact with you. So I could be just totally boring, which is okay. If I'm boring, I'm boring. What you gonna do? So somebody replied to me on the Bob thing that I wrote about just the chauvinistic, bigoted, supremacist people who think that everybody else is stupid and their tribe or clique or group or nation state is all that. And so they underestimate what's out there. They can't think of other possibilities in life other than their own. They lack imagination. You know, it's not just that you underestimate your enemies, just the carelessness and the disregard of another culture, another place in the world is a mistake, I think, because these are people just like you and they have a culture and you can learn something from it if you want to. And, you know, obviously, if you're not inclined to do that, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Stay home and enjoy your family and friends and your work and whatever. But if you're going to have an opinion on things, especially geopolitical things or military things or whatever, and I'm not an expert in any of these things, but if you're going to have an opinion at all, even to the point where you share something online or have a conversation with somebody and you have an opinion. The way to have a more rounded out, more nuanced, more accurate opinion is to understand the context, the broader context of things and some details, right? And the only way you can do that is by reading good sources and thinking about it. So for me, if I read and write, it helps me understand things better. Not that I'm the best explainer of things or anything like that, but it helps me as far as I can be helped within my capacity to communicate and learn. It helps me. I think it's a kind of a rule of thumb. We've all had our education, and so if you went to university, you read and then you write, and you attend classes, you audit the professor, and engaging in these activities helps you to learn. And learning can lead to knowledge and more knowledge and deep knowledge, and that's a good thing, but it requires work. You have to put in the time and the caloric energy. You have to have the will, the desire, the discipline, all those kinds of things. And it's easy for us nowadays just to watch the show. And, because we watch this or that, we've done our duty, so to speak. And in the old days, it was, CBS News or whatever, Walter Cronkite. Today, people might be going to Rumble or Odyssey or YouTube or a million, blogging platforms and so on. Way back, I used to blog at Blogger and Google. And I had thinking Minds, but that's because I'm on Minds now. But it was MySpace, yeah. So I was on MySpace sharing stuff. I was an early adopter of all this. So I've enjoyed it for a long time. And I I was working with computers in the late 80s onward. So, anyhow, so I enjoy sharing and doing stuff. So The Bobs irk me quite a bit because, if the Bobs just said, I really don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to comment, or I'll just listen, or maybe I'll read the book you suggested I read or something, it would be fine. I wouldn't be irked, annoyed by Bobs. But they're not like that. They're very opinionated, and their opinions are extremely shallow and curt. And, you know, the, even their style of speech is very laconic, but, it's just a spurt, like, idiots, doesn't work, can't happen, stuff like that. So there's no way you can have a discussion with somebody like that, because you'll come off preachy. You just start talking, you say, well, have you read this, have you heard that, do you understand this concept or that concept, or whatever you understand. And they don't, so you can't really have a conversation. They just have an opinion, a belief, and it's stubborn and dogmatic and so on. And so it shouldn't bother me, but it does with certain friends, especially people that I've shared with for over a decade. And I consider them to be smart, and they're readers. They read books and they read articles, but they're still stuck in a bubble and refuse to look over the wall and see what's outside. And just the stubborn refusal to understand these different points of view and perspectives is annoying to me, coming from an intelligent, educated person. But you look around, and our world is run by these kinds of people. They are boxed in ideologues. Some of them don't even have ideologies. They don't have anything. They're just parrots. They read a script. They read from a script, and they parrot that, and that gets them able to climb their career ladder, get a promotion or get a new position or a new title or new prestige, new status. And it's quite easy. They don't have to do much. If you follow all the rules of internet marketing, you can build a YouTube channel or a blog or a website fairly easily. Just follow the formula. You'll look like everybody else, but it's familiar to a wider audience, and the techniques are tried and true. So what am I saying? Well, it's not organic, so it's not as satisfying. But maybe if you did the shotgun approach and used all the tools, tricks of the trade, you might find in that mass of people who come across your content, one or two people that might you might become more deeply involved with, or be able to strike up a relationship with, which would be nice if that's what you want. Also, you can just say it, tech with it. It doesn't matter. I'm living my life. I really don't need it. Doing what I have to do. But it is. Every time I do this, I think it's kind of crazy because nobody's listening, nobody's watching. So what am I doing? I guess it's just something I need to do. So I do it. So I put up that blog post, and I got a message about Bobs are in ridicule mode. I didn't really understand the comment that well, but it was okay, and I thought it was kind of humorous. So I slipped into my ironic, sardonic mode, and I said, "Revenge of the mockery, sweet. Hold fast. Bobs are winners and know the absolute truth. Bobs aren't going anywhere. There will be Bobs until all Bobs are properly digitized and moved to servers in deep subterranean caverns on Mars. If Vivek finally markets that longevity drug, I might live to see Bobs shipped to Mars on next generation SD drives on starships. For now, Bobs can root for the Doge team and pay their taxes unless they earn quality income and have a good offshore structure. And if so, Bobs can support the team by buying shares. Capital on capital returns." That's a hashtag. So I don't know if I have to deconstruct or interpret that for people, but you know, we all have these fantasies that we're going to be in the multiverse somewhere, living abundant lives, and we're ignoring the hawks and the goats and the sheep and the people in our lives. I don't want to do that. That seems like an impoverished life to me. So this year I'm going to like, hey, dude, you want to go play backgammon at the cafe? Have a conversation, play some backgammon or chess or something. And try to hook up with people. Let's go bowling, just simple stuff like that to get together with people here. And I think that's good. And we shouldn't get too lazy and forget how to do that. I'm sure you do it, but I get a little lazy out here in my world, in my little world, because I'm writing a lot. And so, I'm quite busy with that, or I do that every day for hours. So, and then I want to ride my bike. I want to exercise. I want to do other things as well. And I got to remember to set aside time to meet people in town and hang out. And not for any particular purpose, but just to be with people. It's really important. On that last ride video I did, I was talking about that thought experiment where you go back in time. You're like a fly on the wall in your childhood or young, youthful self with your first kiss girlfriend or whatever. And this time you can just be there present and listen, rather than performing. So lots of times our relationships are fairly performative because we want to impress our friends, and our friends want to be impressed, and our friends want to impress us. So we're performing a lot, which is fun. I'm not saying that's not a good thing. But sometimes it's nice just to be there with somebody. Let them know that you're really present and you're there and you care about how they feel and think. So simple meeting can do that. So then I got another message that said, "Sigh, waiting for the workers to rise up, praying for their safety." And it does seem like we're waiting for somebody to do something because we have all this information. And one thing I think about a lot these days is how many people there are out there who know what the problems are, the issues are, the challenges we're facing, and so on. And some of them to a very detailed degree, very refined and nuanced and expert level of understanding of a thing, a problem, whatever it might be. And they're putting content out, and they're going on the podcast circuit and the YouTube circuit, and they're talking, having the conversation. And more people are making documentaries and films and stuff about these issues. And I've seen this content for decades, and it doesn't seem to change anything. We watch it, we listen to it, and business as usual. Maybe there are some changes, but they aren't deep cultural changes. They're superficial, like fashion. You go from baggy pants to skinny pants or something, and it's okay, it's all new. This box of sugary cereal it is brown, and that one's colorful, and so choose your sugary cereal. It's exactly the same thing, but you're like, oh, a new cereal. I appreciate what these people are doing to educate us and share the information, but still nothing's happening. The powers that be rule the roost, and what I refer to as the great game, because it's easy for me to put everything in that basket, continues. Damaging our world, the biosphere, right? Life. And life equals life. Without life, primitive life, multicellular, single cellular, whatever, carbon-based life forms, we wouldn't be here. Evolution took a long time to produce Homo sapiens, and now we're here. And we've been here for a short period of time They think around 300,000 years now, but who knows exactly. Anyway, you know, how long do you think this particular configuration of civilization will last? We can look back and say, you know, kingdoms and, you know, these forms of civilization lasted thousands of years or whatever it is. And we have lots of evidence for that. We have various lines of evidence, archaeological. We can look at architecture. We can look at DNA. We can look at so many different things, and we can use X-rays now and all kinds of carbon dating. There's so much. And we can piece together, you know, everybody talks about Jesus, you know, the historical Jesus. How were the Gospels written and so on? I mean, they've been talking about that for thousands of years, and they'll be talking about it until the last person passes away on earth, because, you know, you're trying to sort out the origin story of the story. So you're having stories about the story, the origin of the story, and it goes on and on and on, and people are fascinated by it. They can't turn away, you know. Nothing ever gets totally settled, but incrementally over time, as new tools become available, maybe the image or the story becomes more refined, more detailed. We learn something new, which is fun, you know, but mostly it's the old arguments, the old, you know, rehashing. So are they going to find some parchments, like a missing gospel or whatever? I don't know. But it's going to be what it is, which is produced during that period of time in the foggy, distant past. And scholars and experts will try to, you know, figure it out. So paleoanthropology, stuff like that. But it'll take time, and it's fascinating, but, you know, at the end of the day, you're just telling stories about stories. People are, you know, we're benefiting from this information, and there's a lot of it, and we're learning incrementally, bit by bit, about things, but that doesn't mean we're changing anything or fixing anything. It's like you're on the boat sailing across the Atlantic, and you're learning how to fix things and sort out the rigging and repair the sail and do whatever the heck you have to do. Maybe the motor, the engine is got a problem. You have to fix that. There's so many things to fix on a sailboat, and so, but you're learning as you go, right? Anytime a big wave could come along and just wreck you, or you could get into a situation because of your ignorance where you didn't have time to save yourself out at sea. But if you're lucky and you have fair weather and fair conditions and enough time, you can learn everything you need to know about how to maintain that boat and how to sail it around the world and survive and have a good time and make it a pleasant experience. It's hard learning on the job when you don't have any institution or people, mentors to protect you. But it can be done, and we're all learning on the job, all of us. Because we live in complex times, confusing times, there's a lot going on. And those of us who are curious look into these things, and it's just a mountain of information to climb and digest and understand. It's tough. So while we're doing this, learning on the job, trying to figure things out like I do, we're not actually doing anything to push back against the things we know are wrong, and we can prove are wrong. You know, I'm not a lawyer, legal scholar, anything like that, but there are aspects of the law you learn about because you have to, and you can, and you're a citizen of a place with rule of law, and you have to pay your taxes and obey the rules of the road when you're driving and whatnot. Other people are in the weeds, they're professionals, and we hire them when we need them. But you know, getting together and working on things that need to be changed and you understand they need to be changed, like rules in your community or something. Issues having to do with education or healthcare or other things, crime, you know, these are big things, right? And they never go away. They're always an issue. So I call this thing COSPOLON. And so I was replying to this, waiting for the workers to rise up, praying for their safety. And I said this: thank you for your comment. I agree with your sentiments. It's sad to think that people will get hurt, whether or not they fight back. However, if you fight, you are not a victim. If we continue to let the pathological players do what they do, then we are all behaving like abused spouses, paralyzed by fear, hopeless, helpless, and powerless. If we strike our abusers, we will be in grave danger, but we won't be defenseless, desperate, or powerless anymore. Now, I'm not advocating for people going out and committing violence and whatnot. This guy blew up the Tesla truck and he was making a statement. Well, I think that's a pretty stupid way to make a statement, but I think that person, as time goes by, you learn more and more about these people. He had PTSD probably and other issues that, yeah, so this person who blew himself up, who committed suicide and then the car blew up, he put a bomb with a timer in, I guess, I don't know. In front of the Trump Tower, he said he has no animosity against President-elect Trump, and he was sending a message. It's a wake-up call. I don't think dousing yourself with gasoline and burning yourself or blowing yourself up is going to wake anybody up. People just aren't going to wake up, and no amount of content you produce is going to wake people up. People are not motivated in that sense. Most of us are not idealistic or particularly intellectual or committed to ideological beliefs or other things. I mean, people can be passionately religious, doesn't mean they're going to proselytize 24/7. They might just enjoy going to church and believing what they believe. So I don't know that works. You know, you need a bigger, broader organization and coalition of groups of people to fight back effectively. So I'll continue what I wrote. You won't be defenseless, desperate, or powerless anymore. The situation is not good, but that's where we are, and the system is breaking down. Capitalism is a self-terminating system. Why do I say that? Because you can't have this kind of growth on a finite planet. We just don't have the resources. Now, if you ephemeralize everything to the point where we're all digitized and living on a server, you still need materials to build the robots that are going to maintain the servers, and you still need energy to power the servers. Still need materials. You need people to manage the material extraction and processing to create all this stuff you need to keep the metaverse going. So at any rate, this type of, especially this kind of violent competitive capitalism, where you have to have all these proxy wars to get the materials and the energy to win the game in the marketplace of ideas and the marketplace of markets and all that stuff. It's just not going to last forever. I think you don't have to work too hard to figure that out. You don't have to be deep in the weeds of different political systems and political philosophies and whatever to understand that there are limits to growth. It's not conspiratorial or a big stretch to think that there might only be so much copper in the world. The idea with the anarcho-capitalists is it doesn't matter. You accelerate, technology will fix everything eventually. okay? Progress, technology, modernity. We will find a fix for everything. So you can drink all you want. It's not going to cause cancer. It's not going to improve your chances of getting cancer because we invented a fix for it, a drug or something. But there's side effects for everything. So externalities, right? And we keep battling the side effects and the externalities, right? It's just a very diluted, bizarre, pathological belief system, I think. And it goes against what we know and can learn about nature and how nature works, right? So if you do understand thermodynamics and other things, chemistry and whatever, you will understand how things really work and how this ideology, political philosophy, economic philosophy, has no long future. It's destined to self-terminate. I don't have to be as eloquent as Jamie Wheel or Daniel Schmachtenberger to get that idea across. You can figure it out for yourself. So the situation is not good, but that's where we are. And the system is breaking down. Capitalism is a self-terminating system. Modernity itself may be destined to fail. If we all die to the point where there's 2,000 breeding couples, or whatever, in the world, there won't be any modernity, right? However you define modernity, you need technology, you need lots of energy, right? Even though early modernism goes way, way back before the Industrial Revolution. So at any rate, some thinkers believe that modernity is at risk, or it's going to self-terminate. Other people just don't like it. They don't like progressivism. They don't like modernity, and so on. And if you don't like something, you still have to clearly articulate what's better than that and how that works, not just poetically, not just intellectually or philosophically or logically, but you have to be able to demonstrate that this system is workable and that it's habitable in the sense that it maintains a habitat for life and that it's sustainable, that it's not going to break down, it's not too fragile, it's resilient. And culture is important, so I'll continue here. So the only way to prevent terrible outcomes is to prepare for what's coming, mentally, spiritually, physically, and materially, in concert with your community. So when I use the word spiritually, I'm thinking about all these intangible things within our consciousness and our feelings and our body and our brain, the whole thing, our microbiomes, that are the mysterious elements that motivate us without our knowing it. So if you want to study consciousness and so on, and blah blah blah, go listen to Sam Harris wax on about it. But there are better sources, obviously. But there are quiet, invisible motivations happening in us all the time, and feelings that are very powerful, okay, intuitions and so on. I put that in the basket of spirituality, and also the sense of empathy and connection with everything. I also include spirituality in that. So if you feel deeply connected with your environment and people and so on, and you can broaden that connection, I think that's a spiritual thing. I don't know, could be wrong. That's how I think about it. And you have to do this in concert with your community, because nobody can do anything well alone, unless you're a survivalist and you just want to go out into the woods and build a cabin and make a video YouTube channel about it and chop wood and so on. Go hunt elk. And that's great if that's what you want to do. but most of us need communities to, and obviously, even if you're building the cabin, are you using a bronze axe? You know, where did you get the tools and so on? There are levels to this game, and most of the levels require modernity and modern technology and energy on some level. It's hard to drop out completely. So, next paragraph, look at what the North Vietnamese did. Think of how long it took Algeria to defeat the French, and the African struggles with colonial Portugal, and what's happening in the Middle East now. The sacrifices were and are tragic, but sometimes people are left with no choice but to struggle and lose for a long time before they win. And you can put Central America in there, you can put South America in there. Everywhere in the world, you have people who have engaged in long struggles for their family and friends, for their culture. Sometimes they are wiped out and defeated. Native American populations have been totally gutted, but they're still here, and the struggle continues. Who knows what's going to happen in the future with their cultures, their languages, their ways of life, traditional ways of life, and so on. Well, without getting into all traditionalist stuff and all that kind of thing. But, you know, they're not totally gone yet. And some people think that Palestinians will be around for a long time to come. I don't know. Is Israel, does it have the manpower and the sustainability with the United States to totally ethnically cleanse Greater Israel and kill all the Palestinians? Who knows? We're content to watch and see, and like, well, let's see how this thing plays out. Just like in Ukraine, you know. Can we convince the Ukrainian government to draft 17-year-olds to the last Ukrainian and keep that war going? It's going to chug on. It's not going to go away very fast. Plus, it's a full court press by the United States now to create mischief everywhere, as it always has throughout its history. That's not going away. Somebody was talking about robber barons to me this morning, and I said, the whole country, the United States, was founded on robber barons. Look at George Washington's career. But, you know, you can delve into that. I'm not saying these people were evil. They were just people who lived in their time and place and culture and believed what they believed and did what they did. But I'm not going to turn them into heroes or myths either, you know. The thing's been a robber baron thing. It's been a gangster thing from the very beginning. And you look at the Civil War and you think, yeah, we had a Civil War. Everybody's a hero. The winners were the good people, the good guys. And so we leave it at that. And we don't notice how one thing leads to another, right? The American Indian Wars, Sherman in the West, wiping out Indians. What we call Indians. Hey, it's terrible. And it just goes from one thing to another. And then you have the robber barons and the Gilded Age and all that. And then people are building railroads and you're, you know, prospecting for gold. And you get the 49ers in San Francisco and people up in Alaska. The whole history of the thing. The Oregon Trail, Manifest Destiny. What is it? 24-40 or fight. You know, all these wars and problems and torturing Filipinos and, you know, all that kind of stuff. War is a racket, you know. It never ended, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. I think because of all the, what did the other guy I read sometimes, he doesn't call it a polycrisis, he calls it a polycatastrophe or something like that, making a distinction there. It's not a crisis, it's already a catastrophe, right? We have all these problems going on, and people talk about forever chemicals. And if you listen to the chiropractors on YouTube, everything's toxic. And you have to eat well and exercise well and do all this stuff to not get clipped by the toxins. I don't know why I'm still alive. I had nothing but toxins my whole life, drinking and sugar and ice cream and who knows what. But I'm here. I don't know how long I'll be here, but I'm still here, so I don't know. The fight never ends, is what I'm saying. And if we want to conquer if we want to achieve success in battling against the things that amount to an existential risk today, we're going to have to do it together. We're going to have to organize and we have to think it through. We're going to have a plan that's not just romantic, like Carlyle, Thomas Carlyle, or somebody like that, right? Great men of history and, blah, blah, blah. None of this amounts to anything now. We're in a much more complex situation. There's billions more people on the planet, and we have nuclear weapons now that make the fat boy and fat man and little boy, or fat boy and little man, whatever it was, look like firecrackers, We're just more capable of destroying everything now than we ever have been. And asymmetric warfare and technology like drones and so on, and electronic warfare, it just ups the ante and it increases the speed at which all of this stuff is happening. And we can't keep up. Not me, you and I, we can't keep up. So yeah, it's tragic, but they fight, they struggle on because they have no choice. It's either be a victim and be powerless or fight back. And you might have to die in that struggle. And we look back and the heroes. And our heroes are the ones that lived, right? But think of all the billions of people who died, got mangled, and the innocent people that were just in the way that got mangled. This guy goes and blows up a truck in front of Trump Tower, making a statement. And what? Possibly killing 2 or 3 innocent bystanders? The man is definitely was mentally troubled, because that's a stupid thing to do. That's why I hate these people who carry guns into Walmart. You think you're that good a shot that when you take aim and try to hit the bad guy, you're not going to miss and kill Granny? What the fuck is wrong with you? We should have the goal of living in a culture that doesn't require that we have to carry a gun to feel safe. We should have trust and faith in our institutions and our neighbors and our culture. I never feel like I need a gun here in Portugal. Am I virtue signaling? Hell no. It's just a fact. And it's a different culture, different way of life here. Do I want to go live somewhere in the States where I feel like I need to carry a pistol? I don't. Would I carry a pistol in the States? I don't think so. Because why? I just don't. Would I shoot? Would I hunt? Yeah. I mean, I do like marksmanship, and I have arrows and bows, and I shoot at targets and stuff. It's fun. And I like knives. I have a knife. Here's my little pocket knife. Okay. I think this is primordial. We used to make flint knives. They're good tools. They're useful. And they go way back. And it probably helped our brains develop, being able to cut things and process food and whatnot. So there you go. Boys will be boys. So the struggle will continue for a long time, I think. So I'll continue with what I said to my reader. Sadly, we are now looking at a failing global civilization and overarching culture. We have local struggles, the colonial wars for control of energy and material resources, and a psycho-spiritual malaise and a mental illness to contend with on a mass scale. So this is part of we're auditing the conversation and we're not doing anything. there's a malaise, there's a paralyzing thing happening. And people think they're all excited and stimulated and entertained, but actually they're kind of being deadened and domesticated to a point where it's like, sit, bark, roll over, sleep, stay on your blanket, be a good boy. And yet we think we're so active and dynamic and strong and powerful and smart. We go to, I don't want to go there because I'll be telling you not to watch me. You're the only person watching me. Please stick with me if I have value to you in some way. So anyhow, on top of that, our civilization socioeconomic system is an omnicidal heat engine attacking the biosphere. This is also demonstrably true with multiple lines of evidence from multiple domains of science and inquiry. It's just a fact. The global heating thing is a thing. Pollution is a thing. Destruction of habitat and the environment is a thing. Ecology is a thing. All this stuff is real, my friends. And if we don't maintain our sailboat, we're going down in the Atlantic. We're not going to make it to the other side. And we do require stewardship of our environment, and we have to think things through. But we don't feel dependent on it because we can go to the grocery store. We can buy friends online. We can go to OnlyFans and be satisfied or something like that. We don't have to worry about anything but money. If you have the price of a good meal, it can be delivered to your door. There's no stake in anything anymore. Nicholas Taleb, skin in the game kind of stuff. We don't have to grow our food. We don't have to build the barn. We don't have to know anything except how to get money so we can buy stuff. So we don't think about the life cycle of products, cradle to grave. We don't think about the energy and the materials that go into things. And we just don't think about any of that. So unfortunately, we're unaware. And so we don't realize the destructive elements of our way of life. Now, I benefit from it just like you do. So in that sense, there's hypocrisy here and contradictions, but I'm aware of the hypocrisies and contradictions. And I'm struggling to try to sort out what to do about it. And I'm no hero, so I'm not going to lead the revolution or anything like that. It's just something I'm noticing and I want to share with people because so many people are so proud of the fact that they know what the problem is, and they go and they consult big corporations, multinational corporations, and the military on existential risk and so on and so forth, and security. But, they're consulting those people, trying to get them to do something to improve their situation. But what are we doing to improve our situation? And the plebs and proles, they just say, I'm so excited that I understand what PFAS is now. Pat myself on the back and go about my day. So I'll continue. Most people will follow the status quo until it collapses. So we are in a very tense and dangerous situation that will last for decades. Think about the fall of Rome. It didn't happen all at once. Relatively speaking, because Rome was around for hundreds of years, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years, depending on the republic or the empire, what you're talking about. It was relatively quick when it finally fell. That's how things work. Critical mass and then boom. But it took a long time. In case of Byzantium, Eastern Roman Empire, it took hundreds of years. It was crashing. But it takes time to crash. And while things are crashing, you don't notice it that much. It's like, I don't know I have prostate cancer. I don't have any symptoms. It's like one day you're sick, you go to the doctor. They look through everything and they say, oh, you got prostate cancer. We're going to have to do something about that. But we're in a state of collapse. It is collapsing. We do have multiple catastrophes playing out on the planet, as well as hammers that are, sword of Damocles hanging over all of our heads in the form of nuclear weapons and so on. So this is real. But we'll just hang in there because we have to, and that's the way things go. Now we watch, try to make sense of things, and carry on. I'm worried that things are speeding up, and soon our options will rapidly decline. If we could work together to slow things down, we might have a better chance of achieving less destructive outcomes. And this is something that I just gnash my teeth. If we could just slow down, man, just slow down. Hey, dude, you're going to be rich. You're going to have everything you need. You're going to be cool. You're going to be well dressed. You're going to be fancy and important. You're going to be a winner. But let's just slow down and be more careful. It's hard to get people to do that when we live in such a rapacious, competitive culture. I got to win now, man. There is no tomorrow, right? But I wish we could slow down. I really do. Yeah. So I don't know if we can, if we could work together to slow things down, we might have a better chance of achieving less destructive outcomes. Anything that can alleviate the worst of it. And a lot of people I listen to and audit talk about this all the time. And we all know it, but what are we doing, really? One climate journalist will travel around making documentaries. They won't have any effect whatsoever on the system at all. At best, which is a good thing, they will educate people and maybe raise awareness. Maybe they'll get some fence sitters to come across and pay attention. But in general, it's just going to add to the content that people like me enjoy seeing. And doomers, doomists, whatever. I wrote a piece on doomers, doomists. It's not going to change anything. I've been watching documentaries about who killed the electric car and, An Inconvenient Truth and Carl Sagan and all this stuff for decades. And there were decades more of it before I was born. And nothing happened. Business as usual, man. Kill the bad guys, run the liquor, deal the drugs, make the money, commodify, financialize, securitize, the whole thing just keeps going. It gets more powerful. It just keeps rocking. And you think there's the biggest economic bubble in history in the, equities markets and so on. And it's gonna blow. If they can, they're just gonna pump more liquidity into it or shift it into a different form like crypto or whatever, digitize it. The scam will continue because the players know the game better than you do, and they know how to play it, and they're way ahead of us. They're always a step ahead of us. And if you wanted to be a player, you could learn what they do. They're not all geniuses. They're not all quants. On the spectrum of autism and quantitative geniuses, they can do the math. No, a lot of them are just simple dark psychology, dark tetrad con artists, or people who are highly motivated by money and success. Could be the healthiest, nicest person you ever knew, and a good person indeed, but just very motivated by success as defined in our culture today. And so this is not going to go away. And people who want to succeed, be an actor in Hollywood or whatever, and they know that the likelihood of them becoming a star is very small, but they're willing to do the work for however long it takes. And it might take 20 years. They get their first break when they're 40. The people who are really into it and motivated by it and really want it and excited about achieving success in that way will stick to it. A lot of people won't because they just don't have the ability to be beaten down and getting back up again over and over and over again. You know, you have to lose so much to win that for most people, they just decide there's something better I could be doing with my time and maybe succeeding at or paying the rent or whatever. So people do have to give up their dreams sometimes. So now I get into the COSPOLON thing. So at the scale of the cosmos runs regardless of what we do or think. Physics, the universe, the galaxies, gravity, whatever, chemistry, you know, these things are working and they have nothing to do with what we think or do. We don't matter to it. Some philosophers think that everything's just mind or something, or consciousness, but these are such vague illustrations, metaphors. They really have no meaning because, you know, you're just coming up with a story to tell, and it's kind of proto-religious. I don't know if I could say that about string theory or the multiverse or whatever, but you know, it's so vague that it's hardly worth thinking about. But the cosmos, for whatever reason, it works, and we do know quite a bit about how it works, but not nearly enough. So it's the Rumsfeld scale type thing, know what you know what you don't know, blah, blah, blah. So at the scale of the cosmos runs regardless of what we do or think. And at the scale of the polis, okay, polis like in Greek, city-state type thing, the city or state has agency emanating from its power structures, systems, and cultures. So all states, kingdoms, large-scale communities, empires, cities, big towns, you know, municipalities, where they have rules and laws and leaders and hierarchies and structures and systems. The power emanates from that. So if you're going to make something new, you have to think about all those things. How are we going to run the damn thing? How is the power structured? Who sits with the most power? You know, some people really do believe that authoritarian systems are better, or great man of history, or monarchies, or whatever. You have to demonstrate how that works and where it works, and does it work for everything on the planet? Because we have a global world now. We're not, you know, I'm in the holler. I've never been to the other holler. I don't know who lives over there. I just know they're fucking bad people. And they better not mess with my sheep. You know, it's not, you're not isolated, you know, it's like Bedouin tribes. And you see, I know that color of, you know, robe, that headdress, not my people. We're not isolated like that anymore. Obviously, you're watching this YouTube, so it's a global thing. And you have to understand how the power is going to sit in the world and what it's capable of doing, and is it the right kind of power? Complicated, complex. So culture, part of this polis thing, culture evolves slowly and must not be mistaken for the whims of fashion. So like I said earlier, you know, it could be fashionable, this kind of music or that kind of music, or this thing or that thing, or this idea or that idea. Like, oh, I'm a cultural Christian now. Everybody's a cultural Christian now. Whatever it is, that's not culture. That's just fashion. It's marketed. The society of the spectacle at the mercy of roles and stereotypes. culture is deeper than that, much, much deeper. It takes generations to form a culture. And I generally believe that culture is good, a good thing. And I like culture. Whether you call it high culture or not, it doesn't matter. It's just important. We're human beings. We form and create culture. Define it. Go to the dictionary and think about it. Cultural anthropology. So we create culture carefully and lovingly over time. I didn't write that in that line, but over time, right? Generations. And the careful part and the loving part is extremely important because you have to value it deeply to preserve it, maintain it for posterity, and so on. At the scale of the salon like living room, your family, your friends, and immediate community have the power to make choices and do things together. You get together, you decide how you're going to do something, and you do it. We have love and trust and a sense of mutual reliance. This is really important. You need your mom, you need your dad, you love your children, you love your friends, you rely on them. The guy has the orchard, you grow the potatoes, you build the barn, you're the carpenter, you're the whatever. And we rely on each other. In other words, we value each other. You're not my favorite guy. I don't like your sense of humor and you're ugly, but I value you and I love you because, you put the shoes on my horse. And there are elements to your personality that I find quite charming, actually, but you're not the dude that I'm going to go play poker with at the saloon. Okay? Sorry. But, we get along and we're in community with one another, and it's a good thing to have dependencies that are healthy, to depend on each other and to help each other and support each other and all this kind of stuff. And that we can do on the more intimate level. It's more profound because it's family, friends, immediate community, workmates, things like that. Right? We build our power through the collective actions our community inspires and implements. So you're building power through these communities, through the salon, to the polis, and that's where our agency is at. That's where our power, independence, freedom, decisions, all that happen in those realms, in those two realms. So we must be aware of the workings of COSPOLON to make wise decisions during these confusing times. So yeah, we need to know how nature works, how the cosmos works in reality. Not just the stories, but the actual function of it. Use science, use the tools of mathematics and logic and whatever. Understand how things work and respect that and understand that it's important to know. So if I'm sailing across the Atlantic, going from here to, let's say, let's say I wanted to sail to Brazil or something, or Panama, from here, I have to know how things work. And luckily you have Garmin and other tools like that. You help you navigate, and you can use tools to see the depth of the channel you're in, and all kinds of cool technology and whatnot. But sat phones. But I'm just saying, if you're just sailing, even with all that technology, you have to know how your boat works and how the ocean works and all that stuff. That's why captains who have a license, whether you're sailing, being hired as a captain by wealthy people with yachts or commercial boats or whatever, shipping, they have to take tests all the time. And like doctors, they have to keep up on the best practices and prove their competency all the time, because it's a dangerous business out there. And we have to, get our license renewed for driving and so on and so forth. But so you need to know how things really work in reality. You can't avoid that, unfortunately, no matter what you believe. And then you have to engage with others on the larger scale, the tribe or the nation or the city-state or the city or the town, municipal level, whatever, and with your family. And I think the best way to approach culture in those contexts, the polis and the salon, is through love, creativity, care, mutual consideration and care and support. These things are important. And you have to extend your empathy and understanding to every other clique in the whole wide world and understand that they're human beings too. So if you're South Korean, or if you're Japanese and live in Hokkaido, or if you're anywhere in the world, you're a human being. You have these same concerns and same needs. You just express them differently. You may speak Spanish, you may speak Swahili, whatever, Russian, but you're all people, and you have the same needs and wants and desires within different cultural contexts. And I like diversity because I've had the benefit of traveling, and I like seeing different things and experiencing different things, and I like different cultures. So I like working across cultures. You have to understand that these are people too, and appreciate them and who they are and what they bring to the table and the beauty of their culture and the fact that they have to work as hard as you do to maintain it and to have that beauty and that love and so on. So that's the thing. So I'll leave it there. You can find me at COSPOLON on Substack, and I hope you subscribe there so I know I have somebody interested in what I do. And I have my website at cospolon.eu. And I'm asking you now, without all the manipulation of all the procedures we should do if we're content creators or whatever, to like and share this video, and to comment if there's something that struck you that you'd like to share. And I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. William T. out.